Welcome. How to find that perfect house for sale in Dallas, Texas. So we're going to go through the real estate in Dallas. We're going to identify a specific property that we're going to go through and simulate a purchase with. So I'm going to show you how to look at the property, how to analyze it correctly, along with the description and the property attributes that actually matter to your bottom line. And then, of course, we're going to cap it off with the breakdown of the ways to finance it. So I'm going to give you 3 distinct ways to finance it so you know what you're getting yourself into. Oftentimes, we either overcomplicate the home buying process, or we kind of make it too simple, where we think we have enough or we make enough, only to be sticker shocked whenever we get an estimate or a approval is a better way to say, a pre-approval from a lender, only to find out we're not qualified for as much as we thought, and it's going to be way more expensive than we thought as well. So that's what we're going to avoid today by going through the math. So let's get into it. We got to find that perfect house in Dallas, Texas. That is on our mission board for today, and that's what we're going to accomplish. So at the present moment, I don't want to shock you, but there's a lot of options in Dallas. It's over 8,500 and, well, it's 85. That's a pretty cool number. There's over 8,500 properties for sale in Dallas right now, with the average price point being $669, which, for those of you that are keeping track at home, that is actually on the higher end, believe it or not. Now, we all understand that Dallas can get a little bit pricey depending on the area that we're in, but it is creeping up to where last year it was significantly lower than this, and below that it was significantly lower than that as well. So with that being said, let's check out the properties. Now, it's not going to give us all of the properties because we basically maxed out as many as we have here. However, we're looking at almost 5,000 properties, 5,000 homes for sale. And this is going to include, although we did specifically call out single family residences, depending on how the listing agents input the property, you might find some manufactured homes, you might find some lots, you might find some different type of real estate that we didn't really ask for. But with that being said, as a quick reminder, Dallas is huge. Dallas is large, so I don't think we need to know where, figure out where Dallas is, but Dallas is in the north part of Texas, northeast part of Texas, and you're looking at it being the largest city in the Dallas Fort. What's this county? This is county, isn't it? Let's go back as I'm looking at this. This is county. Okay, this makes a little bit more sense. 4,700. There we go. I knew something was wrong when I saw that. I was like, well, when did we get a surplus of listings? Oh, well, joke's on me. We didn't. So that kind of highlights a few quick questions that you need to ask yourself regardless. Whenever you're looking to buy in an area, you're looking at what commute do you need, what type of community are you looking for, and what's the cost. So commute, community, and the cost. So as you see here, Dallas, most of the folks that live in Dallas end up working in Dallas for the most part. When it comes to the community, Dallas really has it all. If you're looking for lake life, if you're looking for uptown going out vibes, if you're looking for the incredible restaurants, if you're looking for high-end luxury, whatever you're looking for, you have a home in Dallas, literally. So there's a lot of options for you to choose from. And when it comes to the cost, you're going to be all over the board, right? So the least expensive properties you're going to find here on the southeast side of town, so right in through here. The more expensive, you're going to come up through here into the Bishop Arts area, and then the ultra luxury or more of the higher real estate prices you're going to find over here, with the ultra luxury being somewhere up here. So again, this is going to give us it's not going to give us all the properties available for sale right now because there are just so many. So what we're going to do in our breakdown of a home, and then going through the motions of actually purchasing, we're going to go right into the middle, or to the best of our abilities. We're going to get to the price point of about, let's call it, what price point do we want? What's this, 34? Yeah, it's got way too much. Let's do this. Let's go into, let's add more filters, because we got to get right into the sweet spot if we're looking to buy in Dallas. Let's go right into this. This will give us a good amount of options. which you see more of the north be populated at that point. All right, so let's do this. Let's go right around in the 500s, give or take. Now we're cooking. Let's buy a house. Let's buy a house. This is rehabbed. I like that. This is new build. I like that. I like the traditional look. I just like the traditional look a lot. So we're going to go with this one because this is indicative of a lot of the types, a lot of the Dallas style homes that you're most likely familiar with. So let's start from the top. Let's do a breakdown of the images. Then we're going to go into the property description of this property and then some attributes before we get into the loan cost and I give you 3 different scenarios from our Loan Clarity Advisor tool. So let's start where most home searches begin, including most of our clients, which is in Zillow. So most of you are accustomed to going over to Zillow because the interface is super nice, cannot deny that. And the information, unfortunately, is not the greatest. But with that being said, we're using this for the images, but we're going straight to the MLS from for the actual details. So for now, what we need to understand is just the basic information and then get into the images. So we have $585,000 is what this property is valued at, or they're asking for this property. We're looking at 4 beds. We're looking at 2 full baths, almost 2,900 square feet on almost a half an acre. That is huge. Built in 1954. We'll talk about age here shortly. And no HOA. So that's all I needed to know. Well, plus let's see how many days it's been on the market. So we try to bring as much strategy into our conversation. So at this point, you're going 3 months on the market. So this tells us a lot. Of course, as it stays in the market a lot longer, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong with the house. Most of the time, it just means that the price is a bit off. And as time continues, the owners, whether it's an investment group or an individual investor or a family that lives within here, they might be more likely to sell at a reduced price because at the end of the day, they're paying either a mortgage and or property taxes for sure. So let's look at some of the details of this property and really break down. But before I get into the actual specifics, I wanted to give 2 quick disclaimers. I'm going to get pretty specific in certain items where I'm going to call out certain small things, not because I'm trying to be picky, not because I'm trying to be a hater, not because I'm trying to be a jerk. It's more because the small things really tell us a lot about the large things oftentimes. So that means that if, as an example, landscaping, you may think, oh, that's super trivial for you to bring up. Landscaping is bad or not maintained. Well, the reason I bring that up is because if the small things aren't taken care of, most likely the larger things aren't being taken care of. The HVAC's not being taken care of and serviced. The water heater, the foundation, there's certain things that does require some maintenance work. So if we're not maintaining the small things, the large things most likely are not being taken care of either. That's why I do that. Now, the second reason that I'm sometimes a little bit critical, and it might sound like I'm being too specific, is because when you as a future homeowner go to a property, you spend about 30 minutes in the property itself before you make the decision to purchase, right? So it's not like you're spending a ton of time in this property. You're looking at you're going to be there for about 30 minutes, give or take, and then you're going to have to make a decision, especially in a very hot real estate market. You're going to need to make a decision valued at $585,000, right? So I want to prepare you with that, the information that I provide with that in mind. All right, so let's get right into it. We're looking at almost a half of an acre. From the outset, I like a lot of the things here. I see some large windows, what appear to be newer windows. So I like that. We have a newer door. So this is giving me some rehab vibes right now. Why is that the case? Well, the door, that is not a traditional door. That is a door that is not a what was this built? 1950 something? 1954. Of course it wasn't built in that door's not a 1954 door. It gives me that builder vibe. Something else that gives me a builder vibe is the color of the brick. This is not the original color of the brick. This was painted at some point in time. Something else, the shrubs, they're all small. The landscaping is all small. So this was recently done. There's a lot of small things that give it away basically. And then here, as of late, here in the past 5 years or so, you see a lot more wood out here. Now, if you had shutters here, you would see this most likely be wood, either painted black or painted brown, or actually just kept brown, just stained. So there's a lot of things that kind of give this away. And as I look through here, yeah, this does appear to be a rehabbed home through and through. So you have some tile mixed in with some hardwood floors, which looks incredible, by the way. And you have nice touch by adding marble over here, not marble, granite over here, and then some additional tile here for the fireplace. You have your kitchen back here with all stainless steel appliances. This is wide open, straight wide open. A lot of window, a lot of sunlight coming in. Now this one, this used to have a lot more. This used to like be very constrained just based off of the layouts that I've seen in this particular neighborhood. But they've removed a lot of that, a lot of the paneling, a lot of the walls that were in place, and really opened it up to the best of their abilities. I mean, some of these are load bearing walls, so you can't really get rid of those. So you're looking at, and at least in a cost effective way, looking at a range that's wide open. You have a huge sink right here, all the stainless steel appliances, so everything is new here. You have the backsplash back here, which is nice, interesting choice in color. I haven't seen blue that much, so I like that. So while this property does have a formal age of 1954, you have some plastic surgery basically here. So it doesn't feel like a 1954 because it's not basically 1954 from a functionality perspective. This has been brought up to the 2024s, and they did a really good job from what I can see. Now here, it gives you more of a sense of what the property used to look like and used to feel like, because here, once we go back, I don't know what that was, a spot and the home that did not receive the rest of the upgrade. So right over here, so we see a glimpse of the back, I guess. I don't know what this area was, maybe a porch or something, but this gives you more of a sense of what it used to be. So you have that wood paneling over here. You have this is a mirror. This might be a mirror, so it could be coming back to us, but this gives you again an idea more of all the wood that was in place in the older style that you can kind of see through here, which is more like a wet bar. But overall, fantastic, from what I can see, a fantastic rehab. You have some removal of some trees, most likely right through here. The landscaping is fine. Yeah, I don't know if this deck was added later. It was added later, so they did a good job with the deck to encourage you to be outdoors a little bit more. Cool. So I like it. Let's buy it. Let's check out the property description and then hop into some numbers real quick. Welcome to esteemed St. Andrews Estates. Okay, this remarkable residence is situated in an expansive estate-sized lot. Constructed in 1954, home underwent a stunning renovation in 2014 with the refresh in 2024. So this was done in stages. Upon entry, you'll be greeted with a sense of openness and warmth, ideal for entertaining. Living room with the gas log, fireplace, formal dining and breakfast area seamlessly flow into the kitchen. Hardwood floors, exquisite tile work, and abundant natural light create a warming ambience. A generous sized master boasts an ensuite bath with 3 additional bedrooms for family or guests. 1 bedroom with a fireplace could be a second family room, space for freezer and folding area and utility. Plus, there's a bonus room ideal for office or study. Step from master to the wood deck and relax amid towering trees and lush green grass. Enjoy neighborhood ballpark, tennis courts, fireplace from I don't know what DAC means, to be honest. St. Andrews 5K run, annual parade. Okay, cool. All right, so let's look at the details, the attributes that might be important for us. So we are in Dallas County, given that this is Dallas. 1954. At this point, one of the things that I want to mention here, especially with homes that are built in the really anything below 1980s, if you will, you do need to start looking at some significant additions and or renovations and or something that needed to be done with the property. So here we're talking about a property that is what 70 years old, you're looking at it have gone through multiple rehab or multiple replacements of HVAC units, water heaters, roofs, maybe had some foundation work at some point in time. So there's a lot of different things that cosmetically would have changed over those 70 years. So that's something to be mindful of. It's going to be rare that you find something that's from that era, if you will, and especially if you're asking for this type of price. Taxes, 7176. So don't get married to this number. I'm going to show you how to calculate your property taxes a little bit closer to what you're actually going to be paying, because that's going to be important for us. Bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2857 square feet, 2,857 for just to get it correct, and then 0.459 acres. So again, almost half an acre. 2-car garage, Dallas ISD. There's not an HOA from what I remember. No HOA. That's all I need to know. Let's get into some math. Let's get into some work. All right, so this Loan Clarity Advisor basically gives us a breakdown and gives us the ability to compare multiple loans at once. So that's what we're going to do today. But before we're able to do that, we need to input some scenarios, some specific information about the property itself, so we can get the rest of the calculations done correctly. So right out of the gate, monthly HOA. We're not going to budget anything for the HOA in this particular property because there is no HOA. So that one's pretty easy. Monthly homeowners insurance. Now that one is something that we do need a budget in. The easiest math that you'll be able to do on this particular case is doing 0.75% times the value of the home. So 0.75%, that's the estimate of the yearly premium that we give whenever we are doing some rough math to get us going. So we're going to go with 0.0075 times the value of the home, 585, and our premium, our home insurance premium is going to be roughly almost $4,400. Now that is the yearly premium that we're estimating for this particular property. Some of you are going to get higher quotes, some of you are going to get lower quotes. A lot of where this number comes from is going to be the location. It's going to be the location of the home, how many claims this home has gone through, how many claims you've gone through, the deductibles that you feel comfortable with, the coverages that you feel comfortable with. It's going to depend on so many different things, but this is going to be a rough estimate, a close estimate, not too far off. It's going to be a reasonable amount for you to budget. The monthly property tax, this is really where we want to spend a good amount of time understanding what property taxes are and what they are not, because they can cost us thousands of dollars if we don't know what we're doing. So with home property taxes, we need to understand a few key things. Number one, we understand that we're paying property taxes because we're buying this house, right? So whenever we become homeowners, we're paying property taxes for the life that we own that property. So that's, having that understanding is number one. Number two, with cities, with ED City in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, the average property tax rate is going to be about 1.8% to about 3%. It's going to fall within that range. So about 1.8 to about 3%. That's the range that we're looking at. Number three, the third thing to understand about property taxes is that here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, there's up to 5 numbers that you're going to need to find in order to get your property tax rate, your true property tax rate. So those up to 5 numbers. Your city tax rate, county tax rate, ISD tax rate. Those 3 numbers you need to find come heck or high water. Those 3 for sure, your city, county, ISD. 2 additional numbers that often come up, 2 additional rates that often come up are going to be your higher education tax, so think of community college, and your hospital network tax. So think of, if you're in Dallas, which is where we're at right now, it's going to be Parkland. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. We're going to need to add the Parkland hospital network into our property tax rate. But for us to find the actual number, what we're going to do is going to go to Dallas, Texas, property tax rate. And we're going to go to the website first and see if they give us that information. And they do not. Now you may be thinking, well, what do you mean they do not? It gives it right here. No. I wish it was that easy. Oh, actually they do. Good. They do give you the number. Good stuff. So if we were just being careless like I was just right now, if I was being careless, if I would just seen that number, and I would use that number as the final number, I would be wrong. So remember, the second thing that we talked about, on average, your property tax rates in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex for any city that you go with are going to fall between about 1.8% to about 3%. That's going to be the range. So this, of course, is well below the range. This is just the city. And the third thing to understand is those 5 numbers that we talked about. In this particular case, I overlooked the fact that they gave us the other 4 numbers that we need. So remember, we need the city tax rate, which is right here, the county tax rate, which is right here, the ISD tax rate, which is right here, and oftentimes, especially here now, since we're talking about Dallas, oftentimes the higher education and the hospital network. So for our property tax rate, what we're going to use is going to be 0.7357 plus 0.2157 plus 1.0138 plus 0.110028 plus 0.2195. So it's going to be 2.29. We're just going to call it 2.29%. Oh, let's go 2.3 because it's, if you look at the math, if you add them all up, it's going to be 2.2947. So let's just round up and go with 2.3%. So now that we have our property tax rate, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply that times the value of the home, and the value of the home that we're buying is this. We'll talk about market value versus assessed value in 2 seconds. So 0.02, what did I say it was? I'm going to have to redo it. What? Sorry. Let me just do this real fast one more time. I had it in my mind, but then when I converted it into decimals, my mind went blank like a dummy. 2.3, that's what it was. 0.023, this way I don't forget. Times the value of the home. $13,455 per year in property taxes. Now, the good news and the bad news here is that the good news is that this monthly property tax amount is an estimate. Is a conservative estimate. So the good news is that this is higher than you're going to be paying. The bad news is that it's not off by much. So the reason that this is actually overestimated is because of this. The property tax rate, it is what it is. It's 2.3%. That's, take that to the bank. That's literally what it is. So that number, we're not going to be able to do much with. But the number that we are going to be able to do much with is the assessed value. So what we did is we multiplied the property tax rate times the market value of what the home is attempted to be sold for, $585. Doesn't mean that it's actually the value, but that's what it's being sold for right now, the market value. The number that the Central Appraisal District uses is the assessed value, which is going to be a subset of this oftentimes. And also there's a way to reduce assessed value, such as protesting property taxes, having your exemptions applied, like a homestead exemption, or if you disability, whatever exemptions are available to you, there are ways to reduce the assessed value. So by us multiplying times the top number, we already know that it's going to be higher than what we're going to actually be paying. So just want to give you a heads up on that. Let's look at different ways to finance this purchase. So we're going to go with conventional 5% down, FHA 5% down, and we're going to go back to conventional, but this time we're going to put 20% down, so you see the differences when we do that. All right, so let's talk about loans. Whenever you buy a property, you have different loan products. You have conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, on and on. The 2 most common types of loans that you're going to be, you're going to have access to are your conventional loan and your FHA loan. On the conventional loan, you're looking at needing at least 3% down to get into that loan. FHA would be 5% down. So that would be the minimum. 3.5% is the minimum. Let's continue. There is still a myth out there that you need 20% down to purchase a home. That is not a case. Where that 20% gets conflated and gets a little bit confusing is the reason that 20% kind of took off and has a life of its own is people understood that to be that's how much you need down, but in reality, that's more of the benchmark on if you're going to be paying mortgage insurance or not. So if you put less than 20% down, whether you get a conventional or an FHA loan, if you put less than 20% down, you're paying what's called mortgage insurance. Now, what is mortgage insurance? Mortgage insurance is an insurance that the lender puts on you in the event that you default. So not only do they take their property back, which they were going to do anyway, but they also, with this insurance policy, they reduce their risk and liability with you, right? So at that point, they're collecting some additional premium, and they are getting not made completely whole, but make some of their money back in the event that you default by this mortgage insurance existing. So with this mortgage insurance, you're paying for that premium. You're paying for that luxury, if you will, for the lender side. With that being said, what we need to do now is we need to make the calculations for the conventional, FHA, and then going back to the conventional. The last thing that I'll say is if you get a conventional loan, even if you put less than 20% down and you're paying the mortgage insurance, eventually that mortgage insurance goes away as soon as you get over 20% ownership in your home. With an FHA loan, that mortgage insurance never goes away. It stays there forever. So that's a big distinction that we need to understand. So we're going to put 5%, 5%, 20%. Now, when it comes to the length of the loan, we're going to put 30 years. That's going to be our, we're going to hear, I'm sorry. So length of the term is going to be 30 years. The length of the loan is going to be 30 years. Now, the interest rate is going to vary by the hour. So whenever you're watching this video, you're just going to go to Google and say, hey, what is the interest rate right now? You're going to go to bank rate, and you're going to see right now that at the time of this recording, the average is about 6.22. So we're going to go with 6.22, 6.22, 6.22. That is the average. Now, in reality, whenever you go into a different loan, whether it's conventional, FHA, or put more down in your conventional, this interest rate will be different in reality. But for our purposes today, we're just having an average starting point for all of us, just so we're operating from the same understanding. I am getting blown up by text. That's why you see me look down like I don't. Did something happen? All right, getting all these texts. Points. Let's talk about points for a quick second. Points. Let me move here. Okay. When you submit all of your documentation to your lender, they're going to give you an interest. And let's just say this interest is 6.22%, which is the national interest that we see today. Well, you have the ability of buying down that interest rate. That's what points do. So you can buy 1 point. So when you buy 1 point, your cost to do that is 1% of the loan amount. So if your loan was $550,000 as an example, 1% of that would be $5,500. That's 1 point equals 1% of the loan amount. Now, because you bought 1 point does not mean that you dropped an entire interest rate point. I wish that was the case, but that's not the case. The math that I like to do is every time you buy a point, or when you buy a point, you're looking at dropping your interest rate by about 0.25%. That's roughly what I estimate. So here, if you bought 1 point, I would say that you're roughly paying about 6% in that case by you buying down 1 point. It just varies. But I like to give that math just to give you reasonable expectation on what points can do for you. Lender fees. The lender fees, same again. They range in all shapes and sizes. So lender fees, what I like to do is about 2 to 3% is what I end up factoring in for the lender fees. So if I have a house that's $500,000, or in this case $585,000, I like to budget about 2 to 3%. But it also is going to vary across the board because there's different lenders for all types of loans. Monthly mortgage insurance. So with our monthly mortgage insurance, if we didn't put 20% down, which we did not do that on option 1 or option 2, we're going to be paying monthly mortgage insurance. So that's what roughly what you're going to be paying. And it's going to change slightly, and you're going to see that here shortly, but roughly this is going to be what you're going to be paying additionally per month for your mortgage insurance. Now, If you want to see how much faster and how much less you can pay on your loan, then consider adding extra payments. So here you have the option for all three loan types to add either a extra per month or a lump sum to see how much faster and how much less you pay in interest with each one of these loans. So you have that option in this tool. Now this is linked down below, or just go straight to winthehouseyoulove.com, which is where we have this tool, where we got this tool from Kyle Seagraves, which is the creator of it, and you're going to be better for it. All right, so what is the loan ultimately going to cost you? Well, after 10 years, you visually see how much more the FHA loan is going to cost you, how much more the conventional is going to cost you at 5% down, and if you do 20% down, how much less you're paying. Right, so this goes and explains what the loan cost, the comparison of which one ends up saving you more, which one ends up costing you more, and which one happens to go in between. So as you see here, if you go 20% down, you would save about $92,000 in the first 10 years of that loan. And this does the math down here as well. So a conventional 20% down, you're looking at, from an interest alone, it would cost you about $270,000. With an FHA loan, it would cost you $327,000 for interest, plus that mortgage insurance that we talked about, since we didn't put 20% down, plus an additional fee that we hadn't even discussed, which is a financing fee of 1.725 of the value of the loan. Right, so this is an additional expense, this is an additional fee because it's an FHA loan. With a conventional 5% down, here we're seeing the $321 in interest plus that mortgage insurance. At this point, within the first 10 years, your mortgage insurance, at least on paper, still has not fallen off. And I'll show you when that happens for your conventional loan if you happen to do less than 20%. But let's talk about monthly payments. So we're going to go into year one. Our monthly payment has something very much in common among all three, and that that most of your amount that you're paying in your monthly mortgage payment is going to go towards principal, and such little amount is going to go to your principal. Did I say principal and principal? Such little goes into your interest, so much goes into your interest, and so little goes into your principal. That's the same thing that you're going to see with conventional 5% down, FHA 5% down, conventional 20% down. Now, when you're looking at the monthly mortgage payment, you're looking at, with the conventional 20% down, you're looking at $4,358. With your FHA 5%, you're looking at $5,187, and conventional 5%, you're looking at $5,175. So you see the differences in monthly payments. Now, this is year one. This will change throughout the year. So when you go like to year, let's go 15 as an example, notice one big distinction. Remember when we talked about the conventional, eventually you get rid of that mortgage insurance? In this particular case, it did happen. Right, so it's going to change throughout the life of the loan. And what you're also going to notice is that here your principal is such little is going to principal at the beginning, but as you get going into the loan, you're going to see this number rise, which means that you're paying more into the interest at that point. Paying more into the principal at that point, and less into the interest. So you're getting more and more equity into your home, or earning more of that equity. So this is something that you're going to really appreciate right here. So you're going to check out this equity percentage right here. See how much you have in equity, year one, year two, year three. So as we keep going, you're going to notice that equity percentage rise up. I want to show you what happens at year 20 though. Year 20, you're 2/3 of the way there. You're 66% of the way there, yet you're not even half of the way with these two loans, even though you even put 5% down. It's very painful to realize that, but that's the sad reality of how mortgages work. The bulk of your equity, so 50% of your equity, happens in the last 10 years of your loan. That's where the bulk of your equity gets earned. So for the first 20 or so years, you're going to notice that how much goes into the interest, because you're paying towards the interest first, and then a small subset into the principal. So it's something to be mindful of. Now, I mentioned to you I would share with you when you would get rid of that mortgage insurance. And here, if you go with conventional 5% down, at least on paper, in 10 years, you get rid of that mortgage insurance. As your home appreciates, though, as your home continues to rise up in value, and it happens to, appreciate a little bit faster, you're going to notice that your mortgage insurance falls off sooner. So this is just on paper. Based on paper, 10 years it's going to take for it to fall off. but with depreciation happening, it doesn't take that long. All right, so let's go into our exit strategy. Whenever we're buying a house, we also like to do the analysis on what it's going to look like when we sell the house. So here, after 10 years, let's just say the home year over year rises by 4% for appreciation every single year. Our cost to sell at the end of the rainbow, let's say, is 6%. Factoring off fees, lender fees, title fees, realtor fees, and everything in between. Tax increase per year. Let's assume that taxes are going to increase 3% per year for property taxes. And homeowners insurance, same thing. We're going to be conservative here and say that it's going to continue to rise. Well, if you factor that scenario in, after 10 years, your home will have appreciated by this amount. Again, we're buying this Dallas home of $585,000. After 10 years, it rose up by $280,000 with depreciation. The cost to sell after those 10 years would be about $52,000. Your loan cost, depending on how you financed yourself, is going to be different. So you see it right here. Your property tax would be about the same regardless of how you finance, so $154,000. Your homeowner's insurance would be $50,000 throughout those 10 years. And ultimately, when you factor the plus, meaning the gain, and include all the expenses, your housing cost for those 10 years was $328,000, $8,000, and $246,000. That's what your housing expense, your housing cost was for those 10 years. And you can modify that throughout. You can go after 30 years, how much would that cost you? Well, you see that amount, you see that amount, and you see that amount. So you get to see your actual cost at play. But let's take it one step further. For comparison, if you go in and did a rental as an example, if you rented a similar home, as opposed to purchasing it per month with an annual increase of about 3% per year, your housing expense, your housing cost would be about $469,000. That's how you do the comparison. That's how you do the math. Now, this is linked down below. Make sure you check it out. But if you can't find it down there, just go to Win the House You Love and go to the tools section. This is available for you to run your own simulations. Understanding this financing part is so important in your home purchase, so I strongly encourage you to run through different scenarios as you're shopping around. With that being said, this is how you find that perfect house in Dallas. This is how you go through and analyze a property, look at the description, look at the attributes, and also how to finance it in a very comprehensive way. But if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let us know down in the comment section. If you'd like to schedule a time to have a conversation about your specific housing situation, our calendar is linked down below. Outside of that, don't forget to hit that like button on the way out. Talk to you soon. Bye.